Hailed a glorious streaming service, an essential must-have by The Hollywood Reporter, Acorn TV brings you top-rated mysteries and dramas from Britain and beyond. Acorn TV offers critically acclaimed gems, timeless classics, and exclusive Acorn TV originals, all commercial-free. Catch TV's biggest stars like Sandra Oh, David Tennant, Olivia Colman, Tandy Newton, Lucy Lawless, and Benedict Cumberbatch. Looking for an addictive period drama, thrilling whodunit, or heartfelt comedy? It's waiting for you on Acorn TV. Visit www.acorn.tv or download the Acorn TV app on your favorite device. Get an extended 30-day free trial with code TRUECRIME.
Lock your doors, bolt your windows, and turn off the lights. You are about to listen to an episode of Monster Madness.
I am Dracula. I bid you welcome.
Hello everyone and welcome to Monster Madness, a podcast dedicated to all sorts of creature features. On this episode, we will be discussing 1931's Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi. Ooh. It's like, Matt, are you even here?
Yeah, I was waiting for my in to make a weird ooh.
Like just ... Yep.
Ooh. Exactly.
All right, so do you guys just want to get right into talking about this movie? Since, full transparency, we've already
this is the second time.
This movie.
Right into the call.
Someone didn't make sure the recording wasn't messed up.
And whose job was that?
No, it's totally mine. Are you going to fire me?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I need you.
Yeah.
MVP.
As long as we don't sound like robots.
No, we don't. I checked it twice.
Excellent. All right, so this movie
was in
old.
black and white. Oh.
Yes. So it's almost 90 years old. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, you need to stop and go watch it. I'm not going to make any excuses. We're going to spoil the whole damn thing from start to finish. If I remember everything.
If you haven't seen this movie and it is almost 100 years old, we cannot be held accountable for spoiling something for you.
If you haven't seen any movie that we talk about, that's your own fault for clicking download on the episode and or watch the video.
We're basically Spark Notes here.
Exactly.
Cliff Notes? I don't know. You guys had Cliff Notes. I had Spark Notes. Either way.
Whatever. We had Spark Notes.
I thought we argued about this the first time around.
We had Cliff Notes, too.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. But again,
it's like 3 different types.
I'm trying to recapture what we lost.
In this moment. Oh, sorry.
You're really feeling that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the movie starts out with a man traveling in what you're assuming is Transylvania. Now, a lot of this movie is left up to interpretation, and having actually, since our first recording, go back and start rereading the book and kind of just doing a little bit more due diligence, they're not even comparable. So
is Renfield in the...
Renfield's in the book, but he is not the guy who is soliciting Dracula in Transylvania. So I'm not even going to get into that, but they're totally two different stories. There's only like very minimal framework around them. But anyway, so you have Dracula and his 3 brides rising from their graves, and you have a very iconic shot of Dracula with his eyes shrouded in light, or not shrouded in light, but like illuminated.
Yeah.
Illuminated is what I want. Illuminated in light, and it's like this really slow zoom in pan type deal. It's probably one of the most famous shots of the movie in all of the Universal Monster hoopla. So you have Renfield coming to Transylvania. He's traveling through this little town and he's talking about like where he's going. Like he gets to this village and he's like, well, I have to meet another carriage at midnight. And the villagers are freaking out because they don't go out at night. That's just not something they do. They kind of forbid it because bats and wolves and other sort of creatures come out at night and they'll harm you type deal. So Renfield's just like, you know what? No, I don't believe in your little silly folklore. I have to go to Castle Dracula. I need to meet with him. It's business. Everybody needs to understand this and kind of just let me do my thing. So he goes on his way after one of the villagers gives him a cross to like wear to protect him. And at midnight, he meets this carriage after his other carriage basically just like throws all of his shit and doesn't even stop. He's just like, get out and go.
You're on your own, bitch.
It turns out Dracula is driving the carriage.
Yeah, Dracula's driving the new carriage.
Yep.
Correct.
Perfectly honest. If someone was like, hey, I need you to go to this place, and you're like, oh, what is it? And like, Castle Dracula, I'd be like, Castle, nope. Like, granted, Dracula is a name that we know and have heard for years and years and years, so maybe it's not as terrifying to someone who doesn't know about it, but Dracula is kind of like it's kind of like an intimidating word to begin with.
Yeah, it doesn't sound friendly.
No.
You got the little old lady staring you down, like, just shaking.
Yeah, like, what are you doing?
She was old.
She's
Leave her
closing-
Or
alone.
like
Closing up the blinds and everything.
the older guy he's talking to, he kept asking, he's like, Castle Dracula? You go there? Castle Dracula? Like, over and over again. Like, yeah, dude, I'm going to Castle Dracula.
Why?
Like, calm down.
Kind of surprised like a musical number didn't break out.
I think that's probably for like a later movie, maybe. That'd be a good idea. Anyway.
I'm warning you right now, you make me watch any musicals, as soon as singing starts, I'm turning it off. I see the look on your
fine
face.
print. Every movie you have to watch.
Dun, dun, dun.
Fine print, dude.
Okay.
I'm
I
not
quit.
a big fan of musicals either, but
I made him watch
despise
musicals.
musicals. If
I'm not
there's
gonna like make you watch
it's
Mamma
not like,
Mia.
like
yeah, right?
Dracula.
He's gonna get ya.
I think we're actually starting the idea for a really good musical, guys.
It's Dracula.
I have acted in musicals.
Really?
Yeah, in high school.
That's beautiful.
You've never heard the story?
No, like a lead role.
No. So I did
Trying to
Bye Bye
picture
Birdie. I was Harvey Johnson and the mayor.
Nice.
So like I had to stand in front of the stage and sing to everyone. And then my senior year, yeah, right. And then I had to wear glasses though, and the lights reflected, so I couldn't see anyone. So it actually worked out in my favor. And then my senior year, we did a little shop of horrors, and I decided on the Saturday night I was going to go see Slayer instead. So my private high school was not too keen on that, so I just played in the band instead.
Okay.
What like part did you have in Little Shop of Horrors to begin with?
I knew when audition started, I knew that Slayer show was coming up, so I didn't even try out. So I just was.
Slayer,
What-
Little Shop of Horrors. You didn't want to sing on Skid Row though? With all
No,
of your
I
heart?
totally would have rather seen Raining Blood.
To each their own.
Yeah. I didn't know at the time that Slayer was going to be around for another 30 years.
Yeah, joke's on you.
No, I mean, Slayer then is way different than Slayer now. It's like seeing Metallica in the 80s and seeing Metallica now.
What's it like to see Metallica now?
Everything's slower and Lars plays half the drum beats.
Were people still screaming like Slayer?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I saw Slayer for the last time like 4 or 5 years ago. People still
There you
scream
go.
Slayer. People scream Slayer at shows that Slayer's not at.
That's true.
Yeah.
Speaking of Slayer, gotta slay this movie, damn it.
I was going to say, we should get back on track here, guys.
So eventually, Renfield meets up with the new driver, quote unquote, who's actually Dracula, just wearing a hat and like a scarf on his face. And as they're making their way to Castle Dracula, Renfield keeps trying to talk to the driver, but the driver just keeps staring at him. And that's the one thing I noticed in this movie is that there's just like this intense staring all the time and very little dialogue, just staring.
Smolder. It's a smolder.
I don't even know if it's a smolder because it's just there's nothing. Smolder I associate with something like sexy and attractive. This is just like full on creep, like staring as wide as I can with my eyeballs drying out.
This
So
is
you
before
don't-
the laugh.
What was that?
Oh, this is before the Renfield laugh.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna get to
Oh,
that.
yeah. We're still
Yeah, we're
early,
gonna
yeah.
get there in like 5 minutes.
You don't think that anything, there was no smolder, there was no like sexual tension assumed here? I know it's the 30s and this is probably not. This is
I
before
mean, I
like
guess for the 30s, maybe that made some pants drop, but for someone who's in the 21st century, I'm just
Right.
like, you are a fucking creep.
No, and I don't disagree one bit. I'm just trying to think of it like when this came out, what was it supposed to
Oh,
be
when it
perceived
came
as?
out, it was probably just like super intense, and people are just like probably
It's definitely
fanning
like a
themselves.
Power, it's a power move that he's doing.
Well, he also has supernatural powers that we'll get into in a minute.
I'm about to turn a light off and just illuminate my eyes and stare at you two.
Well, that I would enjoy.
That'd be really creepy.
But so at one point Renfield sticks his head out of the carriage, which I thought was really funny, and you just see like this bat bobbing in between the two horses.
Mhm.
So it's like this fucking bat's like whipping the
Rubber
horses
bat.
to get to it's like in charge of these two giant Clydesdales. And Renfield's just like really confused. He's like, hey, where's the driver? Where's this bat? Where did this bat come from? Just that's
I thought he was just like talented bat.
No,
good job, bat.
Renfield was not a smart man.
Clearly
Wouldn't
not.
you jump out at that point? You'd be like,
I wouldn't be going anywhere.
big bucket of nope.
I wouldn't be going anywhere in Transylvania at midnight.
Dedicated to make the sale, guys.
Clearly. So eventually, Renfield makes it to Castle Dracula. The bat is gone. The driver is gone. His bags are missing as soon as he pulls up, and he goes into the castle. And when he enters, it's this like super dilapidated like area. There's possums, there's bats, there's armadillos, which we've established that
Are
armadillos
not indigenous to Transylvania.
They're not.
I just wanted to use this
I
school
don't
word.
know where they came from.
But they're there, rocking and rolling. And there's like a bunch of spider webs too, like these huge spider webs.
Snake?
Was there a snake?
Thought there was a snake.
There might be a snake.
Goes through like a skull or something, right?
We also established that it is not the No Doubt song spiderwebs either. Actual spiderwebs.
Actual spiderwebs.
Yep.
But and eventually Dracula like descends from the staircase and he bids him welcome and all this other stuff. And Renfield's kind of seems like a little put off, as one would be.
Yeah.
When you enter this castle that you're selling or helping him like sell, and then he's trying to buy some really nice place in England. I don't know. I would walk in there as a realtor or like solicitor and just be like, shit. This is a fixer-upper.
Can we put down an area rug, maybe? Maybe paint the walls a neutral color.
Some shiplap.
Yeah, let's do something. Let's dress it up a little bit there, Dracula.
Some crown molding.
I think he had plenty of that.
Probably. You would know better than anybody. But so once he's like, come on, let's go upstairs and we'll get you all set up in your room. Dracula somehow phases through an entire giant web that's like from floor to ceiling, and Renfield has to kind of like
push it aside.
Yeah, like machete his way through. And he's all confused about why he has to do that. And Dracula just seemingly just walked right through it. At that sight, I would just be like, no, there's too much weirdness going on. I need to turn back and get out of here.
If you saw one spider, you'd be gone.
Yeah, I'd be done. Because they do show like a really big fake spider. And if I saw that in real life, I'd probably snap my own neck out of fear.
And then he's like, come up, I made dinner.
Seriously, spiders are the worst. And if you disagree with me...
No, I don't disagree one bit. I had to stop at a friend's house on Saturday to pick up some beer. And I walked out his front door and there was a big spider. And I looked at it and I looked at him and I said, you should burn your house down. And I walked away.
Exactly.
Yeah, spiders are the absolute worst. I was laughing at the thought of someone trying to snap their own neck.
No, that's fine. You can.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't succeed, but I sure as hell would try.
No, it'd be really funny to watch.
Like, there's this picture that I saw, like, on Facebook, and it's like, you know, you have to walk through this to, like, save your loved one, and it's literally just, like, this little forest that's literally so thick with spider webs. All you see is pure white and just, like, black spots all over, and it's just thousands upon thousands of spiders.
Imagine if one got in your mouth.
If... The only thing that would make me even consider walking through that, if my 2-year-old daughter was foolish enough to walk through it, I would have to go in and get her, obviously. But that's the only way. If he was in there, no.
Like, goodbye.
Yeah.
It was nice knowing you.
You had a good run.
Yeah. Married together for like almost a decade, but it's good now.
It's time to start over.
Yeah, fresh start. So, when they get up to Renfield's room, it's a completely different scenario. The whole room is like super clean, and there's like a fire burning. It's really warm. He has food, like a place set out for him, ready to eat, and he pours him some wine and stuff like that. And Dracula, of course, does not drink wine.
Which is weird. You're like, here, drink this, but I won't drink any.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Watch.
Kind of creepy.
Everything he does is creepy, but you know, I guess there wasn't like a lot of like red flags like going up left and right. He's just trying to, like you said, make that sale.
1930 roofied.
He did though.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but Renfield, it's a fucking closer.
Clearly.
He closes all sales.
I don't think he really had a choice in the matter.
No, he drew the short straw.
He really did.
Yeah.
My poor Renfield.
Especially with the name Renfield.
Yeah, that's just mean. But I don't think that's his first name. I don't even know if they ever mention his first name.
I'm going to look this up.
At some point, Renfield's getting all this paperwork out because Dracula is about to buy this place in England called Carfax Abbey. And as he's pulling the papers out, what?
Every time you say Carfax Abbey, I just think about a street full of Carfaxes.
I'm sorry. That's what it's called. I can't help you.
No, I know. Renfield's name is R.M. Renfield.
There it is.
But I still don't know what the R and the M stand for. I'm still reading his wiki. He's got a Wikipedia page.
Nobody knows.
I mean, I'm sure Bram Stoker knows, but I don't know if they're really going off of him too much. But so when he's like going through his papers, he cuts his finger on a paperclip, and Dracula gets real weird real quick. And he like just like stares at his finger as it's bleeding, and he's just
in the corner licking his lips.
Yeah, he wants to like suckle at that finger. It's really unsettling. But eventually Renfield's like trying to like clean it up, like put it in his mouth to kind of just clean up the blood real quick, as anybody does if they get like a paper clip. And then he gets like a tissue out of his pocket. And when he does that, the crucifix that the villager gave him to protect him falls out, and Dracula just kind of like
does
shields.
Like a little hiss too.
Does he hiss?
I think so. He's like...
You watched the movie like 50 times, so
maybe it's a sound effect, but I thought.
Well, there's no like dramatic music, so
could have been a hiss.
He had to do like this dramatic move to kind of be like shield himself from the cross that obviously causes him some sort of harm.
Could touch him, burn him.
Yeah, and the fact that when you mentioned that there's no music, that was something we talked about earlier as well. Like there was no music to set the scene. There were no special effects, so that everything had to be done with like kitschy lighting and like weird vocal effects, which
and some of it holds up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean by today's standards it's pretty bad, but
yeah, the acting is like dramatic and stuff like that. But some of like the effects, like I really love like the lighting that they do on his face,
right?
Like that, I think that stuff holds up. But like, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, we also live in a world where everything is spoon-fed in a movie, and every action is completely acted out, and you get every visual is visualized entirely. You kind of got to remember what you're working with here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I do anytime I kind of watch these movies. I know what I'm signing up for. I'm not like looking at these waiting to like
be wowed.
See like a Michael Bay type Dracula with sunspots and all that going through the screen.
The fucking cart scenes, just all of a sudden there's carriages exploding. A Sharknado comes out
into other things.
Yeah, Optimus Prime comes out and starts shooting bottle rockets out of his arm.
That's such a... You know what? I've seen a lot of things get greenlit in Hollywood. I think we're coming up with a lot of good ideas tonight.
We should trademark all of these.
Done.
Okay. I'll print off a stack of trademark papers and get working.
Excellent. Now you have a job to do.
I changed my mind.
All right. So after that whole weird, like dramatic, shielding himself away, eventually Dracula's like, all right, I'm going to leave you. Enjoy your night, blah, 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 blah. Gives him his wine and all that. He drinks some of the wine. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think the wine was slightly poison, not poison, but maybe like had like a sedative of some sort in it. Yeah, because he passes out like almost immediately, and then Dracula's brides like try to swarm him, and then Dracula shoos them away like super quick because Renfield is his bro. He's gonna make him his, what they refer to as his slave. Like that's even in the book, that's what Renfield refers himself, like, I am your loyal slave. I will do whatever you want. I'm yours forever. But
yeah, but he seems like a crackhead.
I think you referred to him as a cracked out bunny.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't remember exactly what it was. That was a lot of beers ago.
A rabbit or bunny, some type of feral creature. He was cracked out.
But that's exactly what it is. He's like hyperactive, and he just looks like he's been on a crack bender.
Yeah, because like after this scene, you go to, they give you this shot of a boat on very, very rough water. That boat had to have capsized.
I've watched a lot of Deadliest Catch, and I do not think that boat would have made it.
It would not have.
No.
It literally, one side literally went
like
down.
A toy boat in a bathtub.
Well, exactly. If
100%.
Anyone who's not an idiot knows that you drive into the waves, not against the waves. That's Captain Keith Colburn is rolling over in his grave.
But like you see these guys like trying to like keep this boat afloat, and then you see Renfield being a creep. He's he's
his laugh.
Not yet. Hold on to the laugh. But he literally has lost his mind at this point. Dracula has drank his blood because like before the scene cut into going to the boat, Dracula leans into what we are assuming he bites his throat, because they weren't allowed to show man-on-man biting of some sort back then because they're assholes. Mm-hmm. They just allude to the fact that Dracula bit him, he's under his spell, and now he is his loyal like lackey. So, but Renfield's personality doesn't change from like, okay, I was this uppity business guy who had a job to do. Now he's literally batshit crazy, and that's no pun on bats. He
His eyes are bugging out of his head.
Yeah, his
That's
eyes
where
are
the
so
crack
wide. Like, I don't
comes
even
in.
think he blinks for the rest of the movie. He's talking to Dracula, who's in his coffin, and Dracula brought nothing from his castle. He left his biddies there, and he only brought 3 coffins.
I thought,
No,
was
4.
it 2?
It was 4. It was 4 boxes.
No, it's 4. Now, we don't know if his girls are in there, his brides.
We only saw 2, right?
No, there's 3 brides.
Well,
No,
you
we
could
didn't-
put 2 bitches in one box.
Don't you only see 2 coffins?
Well, I mean, I don't think they show you everything, but
No.
we don't know if they're in there or he's literally just bringing dirt from Transylvania, because like in this storyline for Dracula to be safe and to like lay to rest during the day, he has to sleep on his soil is what I gathered. So I'm pretty sure he just brought 4 containers of dirt with him.
I do want to point out, you said Laid to Rest. That's a really great Lamb of God song.
I'm not disagreeing with you
I'd be more shocked.
because
if you
Lamb of
heard-
God is really good.
No, that's a really good point. You've got earned a gold star for today.
Thanks.
Quick question. So do you think, is Dracula is he like the world, is he the CEO of vampires? Or do you think he's just like a regional manager?
It's the OG.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, in lore, that's how it is. Like Dracula is the numero uno.
Yeah.
He's
I mean, I
like-
have a follow-up question, but I wanted your take on this first.
Yeah, no, like I mean, I believe so. I mean, listeners, don't quote me on this. Don't give me a 1-star review if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly certain in most lore. I mean, because if we're going to fast forward to the very end real quick, because, spoiler if you haven't seen it already, when they, stake Dracula, Mina comes out of her trance. So if, I guess, like the whole domino effect, if they take him out, if the people that were under his trance, they're relieved from it. Now, if he's killed people, I'm assuming they stay dead. But I don't know.
So my point being is, if he's just like the manager of a region, that would make sense. Then his bitches would come out. Renfield would come out of his trance. But the whole reason I wanted to ask this is because Renfield is like he's on a bender.
Yeah.
So if the regional manager of like the Midwest of the United States has a slave, is he also like a cracked out rabbit, or is that only a slave to the CEO? I may have gone a little too in depth with trying to figure this one out, but
Okay, so are you asking like, so if there's other, okay, Dracula goes over to England, say that there's other like big,
Vampires?
Yeah.
big honcho vampires like the Dracula of, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Will Renfield follow along with him?
no, does the Dracula of Massachusetts also have a Renfield, and is that all Renfield
Probably, yeah,
also
I'm
a cracked out
assuming so.
rabbit?
I mean, if you were the Dracula of Wisconsin, wouldn't you have a Renfield?
No, and I'm not saying I wouldn't. I guess I'm curious if
His name would be Booker.
he would. That's my dog. Don't shit talk my dog, or I'll kill you. Is Renfield, because Renfield is under the spell, is he a cracked out rabbit, or is just all slaves of a vampire OG a cracked out rabbit? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I mean,
I
Mina.
don't think it affects everybody differently.
Yeah, because like
That's just
Mina
how-
and Lucy didn't lose their minds. They just were kind of like, who?
And he also
Right.
put him in a trance, so maybe he instructed him to act that way.
Well, and that's possible.
Or maybe Renfield is trying to fight it.
Well,
on
here's the
inside
thing.
the whole time, and that's just how he's acting.
Here's the thing.
Some deep shit.
This
right
is where it kind of gets lost because, like, in the movie, Renfield is made crazy by Dracula. In the book, Renfield is already crazy when Dracula finds him. That's where it
So it kind of
misses.
goes-
Yeah, I wonder if that's exactly like you said. That's where it misses. So I wonder if he's crazy because he's under the spell and crazy, but because in the movie he's
storyline,
normal. Yeah, and then the movie he's normal and then goes crazy. It just seems to kind of not 2 and 2 don't make 4.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really make
It's
too
my
much
finger
sense,
math.
but I think they're kind of banking on people just not looking that
Yeah.
deep. I don't think they thought 90 some years ago, wow, in 2019, some assholes with a microphone are going to really dissect the shit out of this. But guess what? We're here.
I think in 1931 they assumed the world was going to end in the 50s.
I mean, they weren't wrong with
Right.
what would happen within the next 2 decades, but whatever.
Right.
I think they'd be proud.
Yeah, they'd be proud of us.
No,
Are we millennials? Would you consider us
No.
millennials?
No,
that is
we
a
are not.
different conversation.
Okay.
that we are not.
All right, calm down.
There's no
We're
such
not.
thing as millennials.
Oh,
No, that's
you're gonna get a lot of people pissed off with that.
but there really isn't.
I'm joking. I don't care.
no,
I think it's stupid to label.
you guys are only a couple years younger than me.
Yeah, we're not much younger than you.
No, but that's the thing. Like, either you were born when we had cell phones or you were born before.
We were like right in the middle.
Yeah, I had my first cell phone when I got my driver's license. Now I hear about like 10-year-olds getting cell
Not
phones.
many people had them.
Yeah, they were bricks.
Yeah.
I didn't have a cell phone until I was in the 8th grade. It was a flip phone.
And
I actually thought about this the other night. Do you remember when you couldn't text until like 7 o'clock at night when like everything became free?
Yep.
I don't think I texted until I was like in high school.
I don't think you texted until you met me.
Sorry, there's a fly flying around. I'm trying to kill it.
Okay, Renfield.
There's seriously a fucking fly. Once in a while, I'll see it go by because the light on my camera will pick up on it.
Eating it.
Yes.
So yeah, going back to Renfield. So on this boat, he lets Dracula out of his coffin. He's like, "Master, we're here. It's the sun is gone," because they're on the boat trying to get places.
No, they open the door first.
No. Dracula has to fuck up everybody on the boat first. Calm yourself, and you'll do your laugh.
I thought you were past that part.
I didn't get past.
You're gonna wake your daughter up, by the way.
No, she can sleep through fireworks,
She slept through a
thunderstorms.
thunderstorm last time.
Yeah,
Plus-
she did. And our dog howling.
Plus
She's
the dog
good.
shaking.
I forgot about the first go around of.
Yeah. First go around, there was a thunderstorm where my dog was having a panic attack, and there was like massive thunder strikes outside. It just wasn't a recipe for a good night.
Kind of jealous.
But though I am sad because some of those thunders, like the thunder really hit at a cool spot, like when we would stop talking and it was something like epic was said,
Right.
and it was like, I'm gonna put in a sound effect right there.
That's fine.
So Renfield helps Dracula out of his coffin, and Dracula eats everybody on the boat. So when the boat comes ashore or docks, wherever it goes, the people on the dock find one of the people on the boat, the sailors, like tied to the wheel.
Seamen.
You just wanted to say that.
I mean, that's technically what they're called.
Yeah, sailor seaman, isn't that the same thing?
It was the
Yes.
skipper.
All three
Sure.
are actually very accurate representations
Exactly. We're fucking nautical over here.
of a waterman.
I don't think that's right at all.
It's not. Starboard.
Do you feel good about it?
Port side.
Port side. Starboard. Poop deck.
Raise the anchor.
I'm just yelling boat stuff now.
Now you're actually gonna like wake up Evelyn. Raise the anchor. You're so passionate.
Drop the.
We are all in on clean energy, on solar, wind, and natural gas from renewable resources like methane capture at local farms. Because we're all in for our planet, a cleaner future, your family, and we're all in for generations to come. Dominion Energy. Actions speak louder.
Sail.
So once he's done eating everybody, Renfield's just talking to Dracula in his box. And I'm assuming when Dracula goes to sleep through like for the day, he's like out, like he can't be woken. He's just like, he's in like this comatose resting period, because even Renfield, as he's locking the crate, says, "You can't hear me, but we're going to be okay," and clicks it. And then as the dock workers come onto the boat, they hear this creepy laughing. You feel good about it?
I was just rocketing water all
He's been
over.
waiting.
He's already spoiled it. I did it like 4 times too early.
I know, it's fine, but that was a good one. That was
For
your
all
best.
listeners.
That was your best one. So they open the storage and they see Renfield doing that at the bottom, and he's doing that creepy ass laugh. And that would terrify me, to be honest with you. That would scar me for life.
You would shut the door and just be like, nope.
Yeah, I would firebomb it. I don't even know what I would do.
You probably tell somebody else, hey, you got to check this.
Yeah, I'd call the cops, to be honest with you. But that's just me.
Break time.
So fast forward, Renfield is in an insane asylum, and he's eating a bunch of bugs, and his attendant Martin is getting really pissed at him. He's like, "You gotta stop eating fucking spiders," and he like keeps throwing his spiders out the window and all the bugs that Renfield's trying to eat for whatever reason. I don't know why he's obsessed with eating bugs, but he is.
Well, he started off with flies, and then he switched to spiders.
It's a great source of protein.
That's disgusting. What would you do if a giant spider went in your mouth right now?
I would kill myself.
Exactly. So what's interesting about this insane asylum is that John Seward owns it, and his house is connected to the insane asylum, and the insane asylum is like shares a courtyard with Carfax Abbey, where Dracula just bought property.
It's where the Carfax lives. Let me have this one.
Talk about dream house.
What, having an abbey?
No, have an insane asylum attached to your house. Like, why would
Well,
you
he's a
wanna live
doctor. It's his passion. He's,
there? I thought it's even
Really
we'll
into
get
nut
to-
jobs.
bucket of nope.
We'll get to how bad of an idea that is soon. But
Because there's no locks on the door.
clearly. But before we even get there, when Dracula gets to land after he's been on sea for how many days or how many weeks it takes to travel from Transylvania to England by boat, he's dressed to the nines and he's walking through the mist and he's eating people left and right on the streets, very much looking like Jack the Ripper.
How many people do you think he took out? Just
I mean,
two?
they only show one or two.
About a baker's dozen.
But who knows? I mean, if it was like a movie today, he would like eat a whole block probably.
Yeah.
But for modesty,
Did they show the bite on the first
they
one?
don't show the bite ever.
But they showed him closing in on it.
Yeah, they showed him getting closer, and then you hear her scream, so you can kind of insinuate that he's biting her neck, and then you see her crumple to the floor.
Huh?
So after that, he enters like this opera house, and for whatever reason, he wants to meet Dr. Seward. I guess because he knows that he lives very closely to him. He wants to kind of make his acquaintance to see what's what. And then he meets John Harker, Lucy, and then Mina Seward, who's John Seward, who owns this insane asylum, his daughter. And she's engaged to John Harker.
Do you think he had any telepathy with Renfield?
I mean, he always
to be able
kind
to
of
know that this is the spot I have to get to get my slave back.
No, he can only really communicate, I believe, with his minions, like when he's within eyesight of them. So I think that was also a benefit, too, while he was trying to befriend Dr. Seward, was because he's like, well, Renfield's going to be doing my bidding. I need to get him out of there because clearly I wasn't going to be able to get through England during the day with this nutbag carrying me around.
Wasn't there I thought there was a news article, too, about Renfield eating flies.
Well, no, there was a news...
Maybe that's how he found out about it.
There was a news article that stated like tragedy on the boat. All these guys are dead, and then crazed man found in the cell. But nothing was ever mentioned about Dracula's crates or anything. So somehow Dracula got all of his shit to Carfax Abbey.
Probably just thought it was stuff from storage. So they just
I don't know if they had FedEx back then that had the address.
They would still have to take everything off the boat.
Yeah, but how would they know where it's going?
Because he just bought the house and maybe they stamped it on the big, huge box.
Okay, well, that's what I'm asking. Once he gets his eyes on Mina, that's when it's kind of like a game changer for him. It's not him wanting to feast on these women anymore. He wants to get his new bride, and Mina is his new bride. He kind of has like a thing with Lucy for a bit in this movie. I'm going to kind of skip over a bunch of boring shit. So he feasts on Lucy for a bit, and then honestly... her character just disappears after a certain point.
Do you ever think he picked the wrong woman?
What do you mean?
Because Lucy was like kind of into him.
Well, yeah, because
could have just had her.
She was single, ready to mingle, and this man just bought an abbey. I guess he was handsome older man. I mean, he wasn't my cup of tea, but he could be somebody's.
Maybe at the time that was in. With his style.
I guess.
And his monocle hanging down and
everything was about
looking fancy.
Your stature, your class, your like.
Yeah. And he had that good posture everywhere he went.
I think Lucy was just kind of into him to be into the status that came with him.
Yeah, because he's got the house, he's got probably the money.
Well, yeah, he looks like he does.
He's well dressed. He's got sophisticated words.
Yeah,
he's got the whole package.
He reads a lot of thesauruses.
Yeah,
he's probably walking around with like grapes or something. Something fancy.
Grapes.
That was like...
And leaves fanning him. Okay, so what happens next? Okay, so he meets them. He's in love with Mina. He nibbles on Lucy for a bit. And he's just trying to manipulate them a bunch to kind of get Mina. So that's basically the premise of the rest of the movie. But what I found hysterical was that Renfield is his loyal servant, his slave, whatever you want to call him. And yet, every chance that this dude gets, he tells very important, like, life-ending things about Dracula to people that should not know that information.
So the first time we recorded this, you had not started reading. Now you're reading.
Yeah, now I'm rereading.
Are you far enough to know, like, is there more time that elapses between them... like him having a night and then giving up information, or does it happen as quick in the book as it does in the movie?
I am not even close to being that far.
Okay, well, you'll have to report back.
The book starts with Jonathan Harker going through like Budapest and like all these other places, and he's like, ooh, make a note to tell Mina about this recipe, because it's like in a journal form, and I can't remember if the whole book is like that. If like everything is like a journal. But for right now, John's just kind of bebopping through his way to Transylvania, picking up recipes and making notes to himself in his little journal. So as for Renfield, like I actually did look like up a little bit of stuff, and I don't recall seeing anything about what you're referring to. Okay. But it doesn't mean it's not there.
No, I made it up, I'm sure.
There could be a part of Renfield that like his own mindset's still there, so he's like trying to fight Dracula.
Well, yeah, you see that come out towards the end, where he kind of talks to these people because he feels bad. And like, let's just point out that Dr. Seward, he lives close by, if not on the same property as his insane asylum. And Renfield like easily gets out of his cell, very simply. No other patient seems to do this, but he escapes.
The security guard, he's just like, come on.
Martin sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck Martin.
Martin's like, oh, you got out again?
Martin.
Oh.
I don't even know Martin still has a job.
Martin was into the maid. That's what I thought.
Ooh.
Yeah, why did Martin have like a gun?
That's why he let him go. He just wanted to visit the maid.
He very haphazardly shot that gun off to get people's attention in the courtyard. Yeah, he's like, listen to me.
It worked.
It did. But so Renfield pops in and out over the course of the next few scenes where he's just like, you shouldn't have wolfsbane because, big character reveal, Van Helsing, Dr. Van Helsing, the vampire hunter, makes his debut. And he's really suspicious about Renfield, why he's eating all these bugs, like where he came from in Transylvania. And he's totally believing that vampires have made their way to England, and he's all about trying to destroy them.
So when you said Van Helsing, the vampire hunter, I, in my head, sang it to tune of Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I actually never watched that show.
What?
We're done here.
I'm sorry.
I've even seen
Such a great show.
Is it?
It's nothing but pepper spray.
Yeah, in our last band, we would randomly play Get the Ice Head, and someone and our singer would always be Dog and Beth. And it was always me. There was just our guitar player and our singer. They would tackle me, and they would just call me an ice head at shows. Yeah, it was.
You're literally saying, I have no idea what that you're
So an
saying.
ice head is someone who does meth.
Oh, okay.
Ice is meth, and a lot of it takes place in Hawaii.
That show's based in Hawaii?
Hawaii and Colorado is where his two offices were.
Those are two random places to have.
Yeah, it was just an excuse for my friends to tackle me in public.
Oh, all right.
That's all it was.
That works.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm moving away from Dog the Bounty Hunter right now. I digress. Renfield gets really uppity that Van Helsing kind of shows that he knows the weaknesses of vampires. Like Van Helsing shows him wolfsbane, which that brings me to another point. In this storyline, and this is probably like one of the only storylines that I can recall seeing this in, Dracula, at least just Dracula, has the ability to go and form himself into a bat, like transform into a bat, and also a wolf. I don't see that in any other movie besides Bram Stoker's. Stoker's. I'm tired.
It's more like he can turn into creatures of the night. Like
but it's only a bat and a wolf. That was one of the
first scenes when you saw him in the castle. He's like, creatures of the night.
What music they make.
Which is a sample from a song.
I really like that song.
That was before that band sucked real bad.
Yeah, well.
Is that the metal version?
It's like a metal song, but in the beginning they play the
Creatures of the Night.
Yeah, and then it goes into like this really awesome song actually.
Yeah, it's called Creatures. This is something we had talked about the first time was like you have what is the sexy werewolf vampire movie? Underworld. Yeah, you have Underworld where the vampires and the werewolves are literally fighting, or the vampires and the Lycan are fighting, and at its inception of the concept of Dracula prior to this, actually I would say Bram Stoker is the inception of Dracula. Dracula could do both, and now it's evolved into something where it's two very different feuding factions.
Yeah. So I think once they started doing that whole thing, because like after this, the Universal monster movies in the 20s and 30s are like building up like this catalog of creatures. Like they even had like, well, it wasn't a Universal monster movie, but they had already had on the silver screen Nosferatu, so they already had like a version of it, like of Dracula on the screen, just by a different name. This isn't Bram's story. This is just like literally like a very loose framework. It's basically a lead vampire who falls in love with a human girl, wants to make her his bride, and everything goes awry in the middle. It's like, that's basically, I don't know why I'm doing that. I'm doing like this weird little fish motion with my hand. Like, ooh, I'm swimming. I sing Baby Shark with my kid too much, and that's one of the moves.
Don't say it.
I'm not going to do it. I do it too much. So eventually, I lost my train of thought where we're at. Renfield's getting all like bitchy and moany and all this other stuff. And he's helping them, but at the same time, he's trying to remain loyal to Dracula. But eventually, Dracula finds out that Renfield's like letting the cat out of the bag, that, Wolfsbane, he can't be around Wolfsbane. So they've been putting that all over Mina's room. They don't talk about garlic. They don't talk about silver. They don't talk about holy water in this movie. They just talk about daylight and Wolfsbane are his repellents and crosses. That's it. And he needs to have a wooden stake through his heart. That's what can kill Dracula, or not kill Dracula, but the stake through the heart can kill him. Everything else can just kind of deter him or harm him in some way.
And then at this point, Lucy is already missing.
Yeah, Lucy's just gone.
There's probably a sale at Kohl's.
Maybe. You never know. Got Kohl's cash.
And then the next scene, Dracula is at the scene of breaking into her bedroom, correct?
Mina?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so eventually, to just kind of skip over some like kind of boring parts that are just kind of repetitive of Renfield coming in and out, telling them vital information and then disappearing, and then...
Oh, at this... Not there's a big part. He tackles the maid.
He doesn't tackle her. She just faints.
Into like a... But it goes into a pan of the type of the camera where it looks like he does something, but we don't know what.
Yeah, so Mina is in her room, and she's all covered in wolfsbane. She has it on her neck. She has it on her doors, her windows, so Dracula can't get in. So Dracula somehow goes onto her balcony or through a window, and he eye trances the maid. She removes some of the wolfsbane, and then at some point she faints. And it seems when she makes eye contact with Renfield, she faints. And then Renfield is like crawling on the floor, very like bug-like towards her. And then he reaches out and grabs her face, and then it fades to black. They don't tell you what he does. They don't tell you the fate of that maid. You kind of just have to insinuate that he harmed her in some way or something nefarious. Like, you don't really know. They never touch on it at all.
Maybe he bit her.
But he's not a vampire, so there would be no point.
But he's into the blood. Like,
he's into insects.
But
he's not into like cannibalism.
Well, eventually he's trying to progress to get...
I guess. I mean, maybe his end goal is to become a vampire, but it kind of seems that he just wants to eat bugs. Because that's what he even says to Dracula. He's like, you're going to give me lives. Like, you promised me tiny little lives, like tiny little bug lives. So I don't really know.
Rodents, too.
I don't know if he eats rodents.
Well, I thought he was building up like... Maybe rats next, and he's going to go to like bigger animals.
I don't know. Renfield's this whole enigma, and there's so many plot holes in this compared to like the actual story. It's kind of like they left like a lot of things out to just leave for your imagination and like more of a creep factor than anything.
Did you know that wolfsbane in real life can kill a human being?
Can it?
Yeah, I had to look it up. I was curious what it...
Did you even see like what like you wanted to see if it was like a real thing?
Yeah. It's also called monk shad.
So
if ingested
should
by
I
a
make
human
a necklace out of it?
No, and I was wondering if it like smelled like something specific, and it like you can. I think you can wear it. You just can't eat it.
Yeah, well, let's not have that in the house. I don't need the dog eating it.
I don't even know what it looks like. Is it?
It's in the movie. It looks like a plant.
I know, but where's it grow?
It's in black and white. It's like a purple flower.
Yeah.
Is that just native to?
I don't know where it's native. I don't know if like you can get wolfsbane in Pennsylvania. It is a Vania.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da, da. So anyway, to kind of continue on while he's looking up wolfsbane.
Sorry, I was.
No, you're good. Keep looking up. I love legal facts. Mina eventually is under this super weird trance, and she acts normal for a hot second under the trance because Dracula is kind of commanding her, like, look, you need to get out of this house. You need to get away from John Harker. You need to get away from Van Helsing, your father, all these people. You need to get out. So you need to kind of trick them.
She's like, John, I'm fine.
Yeah,
let's sit on the terrace.
Yeah, and like a bat like attacks him, and obviously it's Dracula in a bat form trying to like shit on him. Could you imagine?
Dracula took a big dump on me.
I would have loved that in 1931. Some guano. But now I think after that is when they put her whole room in wolfsbane, and then eventually the maid comes in and takes stuff off so she can escape in the night. And then she faints, and then Renfield does that weird thing. Eventually,
Gets foggy. The fog.
Does it get foggy?
It does get really foggy.
Oh, I don't remember. Eventually, Dracula has Mina, and Van Helsing and what's his face, John Harker, go to get her at Dracula's castle in Carfax Abbey. And it's a very lackluster ending because Renfield shows up at pretty much the same time as Van Helsing and Harker. And Dracula sees this and he's just like, you asshole, like you keep telling them shit about me. Now you led them to where I am. And he's like, no, dude, like this is just a coincidence. I'm loyal to you. Please don't kill me. And Dracula like strangles him and pushes him down the stairs.
This is after Mina killed John, right?
Mina doesn't kill John. Mina attacks John, but then
I thought she killed him.
No, we're gonna get there. John comes to save her. Did you not watch the movie?
I did watch the movie. I'm having.
You're forgetting.
I'm having some moments here.
It was a while ago.
So eventually, Dracula and Mina go into like this. I don't want to call it a basement because it's on the first floor, but it's like this dirt.
It's like a crypt, maybe, or
I guess, but it's above ground. Either way,
like
it's
a cold cellar.
I guess.
Maybe.
It's this area that's really dilapidated. There's a lot of like spider webs. There's dirt. It's a dirt floor. And Mina and Dracula go in there, and Van Helsing and Harker eventually break through the door. They see
kind of like a catacomb.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect description of what it kind of is. So when they get in there, they see the coffins. They see two coffins next to each other. And they raise the one, and there's no one in there. They raise the other, and Dracula's dead asleep. Like, you cannot wake him at all. He's just kind of just sitting there. And then Harker is running around like, Mina, where are you? Like, looking for her because they think at this point that they have to kill her because she has been bitten by Dracula many times, and he has given her some of his blood. And in this kind of storyline, it's not like one bite and you're a vampire. Like, I mean, every vampire story kind of is different of how you can become a vampire. Like, if you look at like a show like True Blood, the person has to like the vampire has to drain all the blood out of their,
Did he describe what he had to do? I thought he said something like she has to spend the night with me.
Basically what I assumed and kind of gathered is that like he had to, over the course of some time, I guess because he didn't have the opportunity to do it in one night, bite her, take some of her blood into his system, and he had to give her some of his blood, and then they had to rest together. And then she would turn then into one of his brides. That's what I'm gathering, but I can't 100% tell if that's like other storylines kind of convoluting in my head because I've seen so many vampire movies. It's kind of hard to differentiate because like I kind of can assume what they had to do to become a vampire, but that's neither here nor there. Either way, she's not in the coffin. Dracula's dead asleep. Ba-dum-tsh. And Harker's running all around trying to find Mina. Eventually, Van Helsing breaks the top of the coffin, gets a wooden stake, and you see him go over Dracula's heart, and then it cuts away, and you hear a scream, like this Wilhelm scream coming out of Dracula. And then it shows Mina standing in like some sort of corner, and she comes out of like this trance. Like her body kind of moves in a weird way. Her eyes kind of,
she's collapsing.
Kind of, but she never actually falls. But she like takes a deep breath, and Harker finally finds her, and she's okay. And then they walk out of the crypt or whatever you want to call it, and walk up the stairs, and then boom, end of the movie. That's it. That's Dracula. Ta-da!
That was a shitty ending.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't I guess because they do the credits in the beginning, and I'm used to like having like long scrolls at the end when it was just like the end, boom, that's it.
Yep.
There's nothing at the end. There's no after credits scene to tell you if Dracula lived or not.
Which, from what I recall, like I don't know if it was the 40s or the 50s when they started doing the credits after the movie.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah. But I forgot about that because normally when I look at a movie time as to how much is left, because I'm the fucking antsiest person on the planet, I always assume that there's at least 5 minutes at the end. So when I looked at this one, I forgot all the credits were at the beginning.
And you're like, 10 seconds left.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah.
But yeah, that's the ending of Dracula. But since it's the end of the movie, that means we get to the best portion of the show. Game time.
Physical challenge. Oh.
I wish.
Just play Double Dare.
Can you be a vampire?
That'd be great. Questions of the damn people.
I didn't know there'd be a test. I'm very ill prepared.
Excellent.
You're all going to die down here.
I want to play a game.
It's showtime.
So, the rules of the game are simple. I ask you a question, it's either multiple choice or true and false. If you get it wrong, Matt has a chance to steal if it's your question and vice versa. Alright, so the first question. Throughout the movie, we see that there are spider webs all throughout Dracula's castle. What are the webs made of? There are real spider webs, stretched cotton, or rubber cement.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with stretch cotton. What? That would be like the
That's the obvious one. That's why it's wrong.
Ah,
What were the two options? It was rubber cement and what?
They're actual real spider webs.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Real spider webs. Oh, it is rubber cement. I'll be damned.
It is rubber cement that they sprayed with like a rotary gun. Am I saying that right? You know what they are. I don't know what they are. But yeah, apparently. So you both are 0-0 because you suck. All right.
So who goes next then? Matt does?
Yeah, Matt does because you both got it wrong. All right, Matthew.
Yes.
How many times did Bela Lugosi play Dracula in a film? 10 times? 4 times? 2 times?
Well, I know of 1. 4. God, you just want to make that sound.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with 2 times.
Oh, 1 point to Dan. 1 point to Dan.
You're going to lose.
What do I win? What's my motivation?
Bragging rights?
Okay, I'm on board.
I know you like to brag.
I'm on board again.
All right, so Daniel.
All right.
The intro song and the only song played in Dracula is from what famous ballet? The Nutcracker, Giselle, or Swan Lake?
I'm going to go with Swan Lake.
Damn it.
The
Thought that was my opening.
That sounded too.
All right, Matt, you have to get these next. There's only 2 questions left. You have to get them both right.
Well, this isn't like
tie.
MTV Rock and Jock rules where there's like a 7-pointer somewhere in here.
I may make if you get this next one right, I may make the last one the tiebreaker.
Damn it. Okay.
All right. How much did Bela Lugosi Jr. try and sell one of his father's infamous black cloaks for after he died? $3.2 million, $1.2 million, $5 million.
I'm going to go with...
No, it's not yours.
Yeah. I mean, you can still choose if you want, but
Nope.
I want to say 5 because it's the highest and this kid sounds greedy.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah. God damn,
Daniel?
All right, well, I can't choose that, so I'm going to go with 3.
$1.2 million, and nobody wanted it, so he still has it.
I wonder why.
There's a lot of horror aficionados out there. They might want that cloak that he wore. He was buried in one of them.
Well, I guess you can't buy it now.
I would pay
not that
1.2
one.
for the million for the one that he's in.
All right, we'll just do the last question just to do it.
I'm a really bad test taker, guys.
Clearly. All right, which cast member, and you both can answer this since clearly Daniel won.
Shut up.
All right, actually, this last question will be worth 10 points.
Oh, so whatever.
Which cast member never watched the movie after it was released? Bela Lugosi, who played Dracula, David Manners, who played John Harker, Mina's fiance, or Helen Chandler, Mina? Both give your answers, and I'll tell you which one's right.
I'm going to go with Bela Lugosi.
I'm going to go with Mina.
It was John Harker.
Lose.
You guys need to do better.
Well, yeah, I had no idea. You had mentioned that there might be a quiz. You never said what the questions would
It's
be.
fun trivia. And everybody learns a little something, but Dan wins bragging rights, and I'm sure I'll hear about it.
Winning streak.
That's fine.
I'm sure I'll hear about it forever.
Well, we have a lot of shows left to do, so...
Forever.
Well, exactly. So I guess winning the first one is good for you, but there are a lot more losses in your future.
Exactly. This is a nice little ego boost for him because this is actually Daniel's very first podcast.
It is. It's a really good point.
And last.
That was quick.
This is already over.
I'll be back. Don't you worry.
Well, I hope so. You're on the art for the show.
In the near future, I'll even talk more.
You talked fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the last thing for this episode, we're going to rate each movie that we watch. So we're going to do this system of, would you recommend watching this film or would you not? Based on, I would say, the horror genre in general, the love of these types of movies, and your own personal opinion. If you hate it, if you legit hated it because you're not into these types of movies, say it.
I was shockingly surprised at how much I like this movie. Am I going to, when we're done here, go watch it again? No. But I'm by no means am I upset that I watched it. So I would recommend it because often, you see so many horror movies that are so, slathered in sound, special effects, and graphical effects that it really takes away from it and it makes, a super shitty movie.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at this one for what it is, it was the beginning of what horror is now. They had, like you said, they only had music over the intro or the credits. There were really no sound effects at all. There's none I can think of. And there was no blood, there was no gore, there was no nothing. To create the smoldering look, they just put a beam of light over Bela Lugosi's eyes. And the fact that that was enough to portray what was happening, I think trumps the fact that you could have, this huge CGI action scene or whatever, and it still it's not quite good enough. If you think about this when it came out, it's a pretty goddamn good movie.
Very nice. What do you think, Daniel?
There's two ways I would look at it. Like you said, this is the first time I actually watched the movie. It's not something I would typically look up to watch.
And yet you
probably
watched
due
it
to the
3
age,
times.
but I would because I wanted to learn more about it. But I would recommend it. For me, I appreciated stuff like the set. I thought they did a lot of good because you got to think about the time, the era of it. They put a lot of hard work into the things that they had, the sets, the costumes, even the acting with the over dramatic stuff that they did.
Yeah, for sure.
And in my opinion, those are the stuff that I appreciate.
Very nice. I agree with both of you. I would recommend it because it's I feel it's a cornerstone of what the genre would become because you have these stepping stones of the first horror movies, and these are some of the most prominent ones. You have Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy. You have all those, and what came from them was amazing. So you have to kind of look back and appreciate it. It didn't scare me. There was creepy factors because, Renfield was just a creep in general. But I can see why in 1931 people saw this and were terrified because they had never seen anything like that before. The shape of a man being so villainous and so ruthless and so bloodlust and all that. It was something that they hadn't really heard of. And it was only these stories they heard at, bedtime. Mm. So I, of course, would recommend it. So it's a recommend all around.
You should have some fanfare and it's
I'm just going to use that.
That's fine.
Go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I was saying another thing, like you said earlier, one of the things that they did that we were discussing is they didn't really show you the bite and everything like that. So if you're probably a kid watching this at that era, all that stuff is to your imagination. So that would probably give you nightmares alone.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think you had to play in your imagination more versus now they just give you what you want to see. Mm-hmm. Basically, you'll get what if someone actually bit you on the neck and you had fangs, which they didn't even do that much in this. Any vampire didn't have incisors that were huge.
Right.
They just bit people. They show you everything. They show you exactly what that wound would look like now.
Yeah,
but
they didn't
everything
show you the 2 dots.
Yeah, she didn't even have 2 dots on her neck. She just had a scarf. You didn't even get that much just because I don't think one, they thought it was appropriate to show it back then because everything was a lot more conservative, but also because they had never really tapped into something like this before.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's interesting.
Van Helsing, now that you have learned what you have learned, it would be well for you to return to your own country.
I prefer to remain and protect those whom you would destroy.
You are too late. My blood now flows through her veins. She will live through the centuries to come.
That's going to do it for this episode of Monster Madness. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you had just as much fun as we did. Please make sure you head on over to iTunes and give us a rating and review. Give us a like on Facebook, as well as follow us on Twitter and Instagram so you can stay up to date on Monster Madness news. If you have episode suggestions or want to drop us a line, send an email to monstermadnesspod@gmail.com. And if you feel so obliged, head on over to patreon.com and become a supporter of the show. On Patreon, we have early releases of our content, as well as other special rewards on our tiers. You can also get show merch on tpublic.com. All these links will be posted in our show notes. See you on the next one.
Listen to them. Children of the night. What music they make.
We are all in on clean energy, on solar, wind, and natural gas from renewable resources like methane capture at local farms, because we're all in for our planet, a cleaner future, your family, and we're all in for generations to come. Dominion Energy. Actions speak louder.